Hello everyone, this is Josh, aka the Biscuit Eater, and I wanted to thank you all for joining me on the 8th episode of my long-form Let's Play of The Outer Worlds. Now, if you're new to this series, I am doing what you would call a bad ending playthrough of the game, with a dumb, rude, corporate shill of a man named Bob, who is likely going to betray all the good folks of Halcyon. If this is your first time with the series, thank you for joining. You can find a link to the playlist in the description down below. Otherwise, sit back and relax. In our previous episode, we found the book that Vicar Max was asking for, only to find that it was in French and that he can't read it. But that gave us our second companion. We also let the traitorous dissenters know that they need to go home to Edgewater, even if Adelaide refused to go with them. Finally, after taking out a few primal nests, we let the big boss man know that everything was good to go and finally got our ship out into space. Space! Today, we explore the recently revealed confines of our new ship, go to talk with our captor/rescuer, and then head to the other colony ship to get our hands on a nav key, and likely sell Phineas out in the process. So, let's throw back a few zero-G brews, the ale that's good for it ails ya, and cue that intro.
All I need is me, myself, and I. Sometimes I wish I was somebody else. I was somebody else. I go my own way. Don't care what you say.
Alright folks, welcome back. So as I noted, we're going to go ahead here and check out our new digs. This is going to be our home for the foreseeable future. Before we go out to Dr. Phineas's lab and talk to him, as well as then going to the other colony ship, the one that came before the Hope, to find out what's going on there, as well as talk to the black market dealer. So, first thing we have here, the one thing we did not check out in the room before we ended our last episode, is the terminal here. So let's go ahead and take a look. The unreliable message terminal. Nice. Welcome back, Captain. Messages for Alex Hawthorne. Yes, right, that's who we are. Sort of. Hawthorne's Unread Messages. From you, Bedford. Alright, thank you. Udom Wingman's Wingman. Alex, oh dear. Oh, I forgot to mention in my previous message. Silly me, I'm mailing you a copy of my favorite serial, The Space Adventures of Singularity Steel. It's about a dashing space pirate with a heart of, well, steel. It's not exactly board approved, so don't you go showing it around to your spacer buddies. I hope it'll amuse you while you're out adventuring. Any similarities to a certain someone are entirely intentional. Winky face, winky face. Rawr. Okay, then let's go ahead and go back and archive messages. So this you Bedford guy likes him. Okay. Dearest Alex, I can't tell you how pleased I am to finally hear from you. Your message was hilarious. I'm delighted by your sense of humor and the tale of your hijinks. I hope your terminal will cooperate for the foreseeable future. By the by, I was scraping Groundbreaker's comms network for tasty little tidbits, and I noticed you declined to dock at Edgewater's landing pad and instead touched down in the wilderness. You rugged individualist, you. I only pray that idiot Thompson wasn't giving you any trouble. Wow, okay. Anyway, I hope your meeting down in Terra 2 proves fruitful, and I look forward to corresponding you with greater regularity. Your best friend, Udom. Hello? Hello? Alex, I don't know where you were raised, but I'd hazard to guess it must have been in a barn, because anyone with even a modicum of decent rearing would know it's unforgivably rude to ignore the ardent, sincere messages of one's friends. Best, Udom. P.S. Please respond. Checking in. Dear Alex, hello, hope this finds you well. It was a pleasure to see you in my office again last week. Once again, I'm terribly sorry about the impounding mix-up. How could it have happened a second time? Terminals these days, I swear. Dreadfully unreliable. Aha, just like your ship. I hope you've given some thought to that thing we discussed. You know, about that Welles fellow. I'm so sorry to press, but I have the strangest tickling feeling that you really do know him. And if you could just tell me where he is, well, it would be marvelous for our friendship, wouldn't it? Look forward to seeing you again, wingman, winky face. Your dear friend, Udom. So, it looks like Welles was considering actually betraying Phineas, or at least Udom had an inkling that he knew him. A pleasure. Dear Alex. Hello, Udom here, Udom Bedford. We met when I accidentally impounded your ship, my silly fat fingers embarrassing me once again. I hope that wasn't too terribly inconvenient for you. It was such a pleasure for me, and I tremendously appreciate your forbearance in not throttling me. You really are quite the gentleman. If you're ever in Groundbreaker's airspace, well, space, please don't hesitate to look me up. The Lost Hope serves Spectrum vodka. Perhaps we could even try every color. Really tie one on. Let me know. Your friend, Unam. Dang, boy. Thirsty much? Alright, sent messages. Just one. Look, there's no call for shouting. My terminal was busted. Had a few too many and might have knocked it off the desk. You know how it is. Sometimes you just gotta cut loose. I'm not telling you where Welles is, so lay off. Buy me a drink at the Lost Hope next time I'm in, and I might forgive you. Alright, I think that cuts all the messages. Check the logs. Ooh, interesting. Shrink ray. Hammer power, black market leads. Note to self, remember this later. No better? Ada, remind me weekly to check this log until I tell you to stop. Yes, I mean continually. No, Ada, not if I'm dead. Why would you even ask me that? Back to my point, I saw in actuality with my own two eyes a sublimely powerful weapon in Welles' lab. Just sitting there for the taking. If the gray hair were to look away or forget about it, maybe. Or if I'd asked a smidgen more nicely. He called it a shrink ray, but wouldn't let me test that claim after I lost my temper. Said he was inspired to create the thing by the achievements of other scientists who dare to push the boundaries of human knowledge and decency laws. I had heard rumors of fantastical weapons like this one, weapons that push the boundaries of the mind and science's cutting edge, but I figured they were just stories, to be honest. Laying eyes on Welles' shrink ray firsthand is enough to make a fellow wonder if there's more to the rumors. More to be had. The last time I got sloshed, I was imbibing at the Lost Hope on Groundbreaker. Look, Udon was really free with the drinks. He seems like an okay fella. I shamelessly but subtly eavesdropped on two Mardits yammering about a mad scientist some years back who claimed he'd made a huge discovery that would change the fate of the colony. Like none of us have heard that one before. But here's the good part. The Mardits said the mad scientist kept yelling about the hammer's power, or something similar. A strange weapon with a special power created by a crazy lab coat? Sure fits the bill. It could be another one of the weapons that inspired Welles. Black market leads. Why won't Welles just give the shrink ray to me? Blast him to the depths of the labyrinth and Tartarus and back. Let the record show, I did apologize for shouting him down 5 times, but architect be damned, it's just sitting there, neglected and gathering dust. I should have commandeered it and thanked him without asking permission or breaking expensive equipment when he said he wasn't really ready yet, and that even if it were, he couldn't entrust it to someone like me. What does that even mean, I ask? That I'm not trustworthy enough? That I'd use it to wipe out the good, hard-working folks of the colony like some sort of moralist psycho? I'll admit to maintaining some questionable associations, but I follow a strict code of me, myself, and mine. What's not to respect in that? Exactly. Now I have to wait until Welles forgets or thinks he's misplaced it. In the meanwhile, I've been tracking down additional rumors pertaining to others of these science weapons throughout Halcyon. If gossip holds true, my next step will be to check with the black market merchants on the Groundbreaker and in Fallbrook. Okay, interesting. And we've got a new mission. Weapons from the Void. Logs found in the captain's terminal on the unreliable mention finding a powerful weapon. Perhaps the Halcyon colony contains other weapons which, like this one, push the boundaries of what science can achieve. It would be worthwhile to seek out these devices, these science weapons. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so that one didn't give me that quite yet. Okay, so now we go ahead and check out the rest of the ship. Who are you? I have a leak. Oh, gasp. Interesting. We'll take that. There's no response from the automechanical unit. A serial number etched in its chassis include the letters SAM. Now we have another companion quest. We need to talk to Ada about it. Okay. Yeah, I probably should be reading the quest information, but that's a lot of additional information I don't really need at the moment, so take that. Photo of Parvati's father, a stern older man with warm eyes. Ah. He's a daddy. Okay, we got Petunia the plant. This is not a petunia. The Modern Steel Wrench and You. This book is heavily dog-eared with doodles in the margins. Banked up toolbox, full of modified tools with unique mechanical usages. Digging around in here would be an easy way to lose a finger to a sawtooth blade. Again, anything not nailed down. Abigail. First wrench Dad ever gave me. She's been a friend ever since. Parvati. Aww. There we go. So that's the first room. Got nothing in here yet. This is for one of our other companions in the future. And there's Vicar Max. Let's see what we've got. Doctrinal Studies 539 of Equity and Equations. These textbooks have been out of print for almost half a century. The margins are filled with scribbled notes and many passages have been underlined. Some pages have come loose, the glue now yellowed and cracked along the spines. The Journal of Maximilian de Soto, Volume 1. The scribblings on these journal pages are utterly illegible to anyone except Vicar Maximilian de Soto. You don't need ammo, do you? Tossball trading cards. He likes tossball, apparently. In mint condition. Most of these cards represent players from the Asbestos Hammers and the Tile Backers. The Art and Science of Tossball. Impossible to put down. Order of Scientific Inquiry. Office of Literature. This endorsement has been approved. Auntie-Cleo's Darlings. Signed by Seymour Whitlock, who held the record for most on-the-field fatalities for 3 consecutive seasons. We'll talk to the Vicar in a moment here. But first, OSI Ointment Vial. An ointment vial. Smells suspiciously like iceberg aged whiskey. Index of Banned Literature. Part 1. Various qualifying considerations. Part 2. Principal rules of restrictive management. Part 3. Morals and maxims of banning unethical literature. Part 4. Proof of the Grand Architect and Predestination. A refutation of the titles listed here within. Part 5. Consequences, the mind and the will of a man who, when led astray. Part 6. Official list of banned titles. Part 7. Prerequisites for advancing the investigation, outing, and penalization of offenders. Alright, Vicar Max, let's see how you're doing.
By verity, by strength. What are we contemplating today?
I'd like to know something about those I'm flying with. What's your story?
Nothing too out of the ordinary. Just your run-of-the-mill vicar with a violently enthusiastic disposition.
That's somewhat concerning.
Oh, I eventually learned how to channel it into my quest for knowledge. But my childhood, that is a different tale. I grew up in a pit of a town, much like Edgewater. I was destined to be a laborer like my parents, but I was infected early with a need to solve the equation. My passion didn't sit well with them.
Were they not religious?
On the contrary. They internalized the precepts of scientism like no one I've ever known. They had a pure faith, a faith that brought joy to them regardless of the situation. I envied that. I wanted that peace. I thought if I became a vicar, I could find it. Or at the very least, find out why I lacked it.
But weren't they proud when you became a vicar, at least?
They thought I was fighting the plan, should have accepted my lot. Some people pursue the clergy for power, prestige, but that was not me.
If you can't help but follow the plan, then everything you do is part of it, right?
The plan is not one rigid path. There are a variety of multitudes contained within it. Our paths have variance, but we'll end up adhering to it, whether we like it or not. Some choices make the path smoother, some rougher. You can even go outside the lines, but the further outside you go, it's like an unbreakable elastic band. It will only stretch so far before it snaps back. The further it is stretched, the more violent the eventual correction.
Seems quite trusting of you to just sign on without knowing anything about me.
I have run headlong into too many walls in my pursuit of the truth. This book is my last hope, and you were my only hope of getting it translated.
What if the book doesn't have the answers you're looking for?
I honestly don't know what I'd do. This quest has consumed me for the better part of my life. I fear there's nothing else left to me. What about you? What's your story?
That's right, I'm not going to tell anybody about the Hope. I don't want to talk. Oh, I don't want to talk about it.
You were the one who started this conversation.
Tell me again about the book we picked up that's in French.
Baconu, the author, had some interesting theories about man's perception of reality that I thought could be applied to our attempts to decipher the plan. Unfortunately, he was also one of the founders of the Philosophist school of thought, so the book is banned in this colony.
Remind me, what are your thoughts on the Philosophists?
Philosophism's a false religion that stands in contradiction to almost everything we know to be true. They believe all is chaos, in stark contrast to OSI's belief in the
We're
plan.
working over this.
But most of the Philosophist perversion of Baconu's thoughts came more than a century after his death.
Any ideas where we can find someone who speaks French in this colony?
I've been thinking on that. There's a former infamous Philosophist scholar who fled Terra 2 some years ago. He's an expert on Baconu. He's also who told me of the journal's presence in Emerald Vale. If anyone in this colony could translate that book, it would be him.
Seriously, only one guy in this whole colony that can translate French?
The only one I'm aware of. I suppose we could always just ask random passers-by if they are fluent in it.
Hey, I'm the captain here. Only I get to be a smartass.
1,000 pardons, my good captain. I thought we were engaging in witty repartee. Now, as far as tracking down this scholar, we should start on the Groundbreaker. It's where I'd go if I wanted to get off Terra 2. Great place to pick up a ride to Hephaestus, Scylla, even Monarch. All I need is access to a data cartridge from the security terminal. Their easily hackable system keeps a registry of all crew manifests for both arrivals and departures.
How is it that a simple vicar happens to be such a highly skilled hacker?
Before I transferred to Edgewater, I had a wealth of time to develop certain, secular skills during my years serving a particular penitentiary flock. I meditated, led sermons, provided guidance to the inmates as needed, of course. I also played prison yard tossball and taught myself a bit about computronic security systems.
How will a crew manifest help us track down your scholar friend?
I'll comb the last 6 months of departure manifest to track the Philosophist's off-world destination.
Sounds good, let's go.
Thank you, Captain.
But we're not done.
I find myself marveling at the complex simplicity of the Fibonacci spiral. I'm sure you know what that's like. Something vexing you, Captain?
Let's talk about the thing. You know, that thing with the thing that you want to do.
Of course. Are you ready to break into security on the Groundbreaker?
Remind me why we want to do that?
If I can access the data cartridge from the terminal in security, I can easily hack into their arrivals and departures registry. That'll give us dates, times, and the crew manifests for every registered ship. I'll comb the last 6 months of departure. Thank you, Captain. As always, I am at your disposal. Something vexing you, Captain?
Okay, I just want to make sure there wasn't anything else I could ask him. Nope. Good. Okay, this is another room for people, but here we got a saber. Old saber. What doesn't kill you gives you tetanus. We will get some friends soon. Making sure there's not anything else I can pick up here. Oh, we'll take that. And that. Alright, looks like we got everything there. See, you can keep a bathroom relatively clean, even in this universe. Or solar system, or whatever you want to call it. Meh. Case in point, it can be done. Lazy bums. This entire universe is covered in lazy bums. Alright. Let's go ahead here. And next, let's talk. Well, I was going to talk to Parvati because usually she's hanging out right here. But let's see, maybe she went elsewhere? Maybe she went to her room. No, she's not in her room. Parvati? Oh. You could check in the engine room, Josh. She is your engineer. Sure enough, there she is.
Sometimes I wonder about Mr. Hawthorne. What was he like? Why'd he make the computer a talkie? You think he got lonely, flying about on his own?
Did you learn your trade from your father? It sounded like it when you talked to Reed.
Mostly, yeah. I lived in the maintenance office near all my life. Mr. Thompson never let me forget how funny that was.
I don't see the humor.
He meant funny as in odd. It's not normal for anyone to do as their parents. You take a vocational test. That decides your schooling and your career. When I tested out for maintenance, everyone figured it was on account of my dad. They were real unhappy with us.
One aptitude test determines your whole life?
They're powerful good tests. They rattled off this whole list of names who'd worked on them, with fancy bits hanging off them. Doctors and esquires and the thirds. Even if you don't believe they actually catch what everybody's best at, everybody's got to take them. So at least it's fair-ish.
Why would people be unhappy about you getting a maintenance job?
Because they were hoping their own kid would get the job and get sent back to Edgewater. When folk go away for schooling, they don't get back to where they begun. Not usually. You go straight to your first job, wherever the company's got an opening.
Sounds easy. Dull, but easy.
Real smart folk design the tests. They use these things called algorithms. They take into account what fulfills you. If somebody isn't happy in the job they get, it's likely on account of a poor attitude.
But you're actually good at this, and you enjoy it.
Well, I'm good at making things work the way they ought. Not so much at doing such to somebody else's schedule. There's times I'm working deep in the guts of a loader, getting it all running perfect. Then I look up to see it's tomorrow, and I've blown another deadline. Anyhow, I was happy to get back home. I didn't care much for schooling.
After school, or let's see, you didn't like your classes?
There were a whole lot of reading, not nearly enough doing. Like, before they'd issue you a wrench, they wanted an essay on the design of different wrenches. Then there'd be quizzes on company regulations for storage and maintenance of wrenches.
What did you do in your time off?
As soon as I got permission, I spent all my time in the machine shop. They had all manner of parts, but they didn't want me using them, so I had to sneak them sometimes. I even slept in there. Had a hammock tied up in the rafters. Before I left, I installed a little skylight for myself, so I could see the stars.
You didn't have your own room?
Students bunk 4 to a room. It's supposed to get you used to working as a team. There's no privacy and no quiet. When my roommates tried to talk, I'd get so nervous I'd be drenched in sweat. It was easier for everybody when I stayed off on my own. I doubt any of them remember me now.
After school, you moved straight back to Edgewater?
Yep, nothing much had changed. Everything was a little grayer, a little dirtier. Dad met me at the shuttle and gave me a big ol' hug. I noticed straight away that he was moving slower and stiffer. He made a little grunt when I squeezed.
He wasn't that old, was he?
No, but a whole life taking care of Edgewater by his lonesome, working with all kinds of chemicals, it wears on a body. When I left for school, everything got harder for him. I used to help him lift the heavy things, and my hands didn't shake for the fine detail work.
Did you get much time with him after you got back from school?
About a year. I tried to do more of the work so he could rest. His heart gave him pains. Dad never said that he loved me, you know? I knew on account of him showing it. How he'd stay up late to help with my projects or listen to my fretting. Oh gosh, look at the time. Sorry to bend your ear so long. And I got so much to do before this ship's in decent shape.
Break time's over. Alright, so we've talked to our companions. Let's go talk to that Mr. Phineas fella. Alright. Oh, let's talk to Ada first.
Welcome back, Captain. How can I be of assistance?
Know anything about the automechanical gathering dust in the janitor's closet?
The unit is a cleaning SAM. Hawthorne brought it on board some cycles ago, I'm sure with the intent to modify it, but I've never seen it up and running. Alex likely recorded progress notes detailing his efforts to modify Sam. If you check the terminal in your captain's quarters, we may be able to determine what work remains in order for Sam to properly operate.
I'm in the mood for some entertainment.
Certainly, Captain. What would you like to hear?
Ada, tell me a joke.
I used to hate math, but then I realized decimals have a point.
Ugh. Excuse me. Ada, play my favorite song.
Now playing a Spacer's Choice advertisement jingle.
It's not the best choice. It's Spacer's choice.
That's not my favorite song.
Everyone in Halcyon is contractually obligated to label this or another board-certified jingle their favorite song.
That's enough for now.
As you wish, Captain.
Got a minute to talk?
I have lots of minutes. Many minutes. Unlimited minutes, perhaps. Providing an adequate power source, I can function indefinitely.
What if you don't have a power source?
I prefer to think of it as being in a state of slumber, perhaps for an indefinite duration of time. Do you think that is what it's like for the colonists on the Lost Hope?
I guess so.
When I simulate myself in such a scenario, I do not find it to be desirable. I think my self-preservation protocols incline me to desire the alternative.
And what might that be?
Traveling the system with you, Captain.
What about your last captain? Do you miss him? Or is one captain the same as another?
Do you know what it feels like when the ship undergoes an unexpected power surge? A jolt to the system. I have felt that. I do feel that. As you may be aware, Captain Alex Hawthorne was a smuggler of some repute. I failed to predict the likely outcome of his reckless behavioral patterns. I should have predicted that. In our travels together, Alex liked to pass time by, as he called it, tinkering to improve my design.
Have there been other captains of this ship?
If you mean, was Captain Hawthorne my first? Yes, he was.
Let's talk about something else.
How can I be of assistance?
I'd like to learn more about the colony.
What part of the colony would you like to discuss?
Phineas's orbital lab.
Ah, yes. As Dr. Welles is a wanted outlaw, he built his laboratory into an asteroid. Orbital destinations can be challenging to land on. His more so than most.
Why is that?
The outlaw scientist known as Dr. Phineas Welles has taken a measure of precautions to make the lab undetectable to those hunting him. Even knowing the location, my systems resist my orders to go where I instruct them.
What do you know about Phineas?
There is a bounty on his head, one with a markedly high reward amount. Shall I engage the laser weapons system?
Make it so, Ada.
I shall happily comply with your order, just as soon as we have a laser weapons system.
I want to ask about somewhere else.
Of course. What part of the colony would you like to discuss?
The Groundbreaker.
We're cleared to dock with the Groundbreaker if that's your desired destination. If we're going there, please be sure all docking forms have been filed in triplicate and fees have been paid. The Mardettes take their docking laws quite seriously.
You can take care of that for us, right?
I can, yes. Let me add that to my list of 1,435,498 tasks I am simultaneously executing in order to run our ship.
Great, thanks.
You are more than welcome, Captain.
Well, give me the spiel on the Groundbreaker.
The Groundbreaker was Halcyon's original colony ship. It has since been repurposed as a service station in the Lagrange point of the system. Freighters often deliver or pick up goods from the Groundbreaker en route to other destinations. The city ship hosts an array of cargo bays, factories, housing sections, and more. Many of Halcyon's companies maintain office spaces with stationed representatives in what is considered a truly neutral territory within the system. I have filed the required docking forms in triplicate, and fees have been paid. Of course. What part of the colony would you like to discuss?
Terra 2.
Where in Terra 2?
Emerald Vale and Edgewater.
Edgewater is the sparkling county seat of Emerald Vale, or it was when first built. Since then, neglect and time have worn away her shiny veneer. The town is near the coordinates where Captain Hawthorne died. It would not be unfortunate if something, like, say, a plague, were to wipe Emerald Vale from the face of the planet.
What do you think of the townspeople?
You mean the ones who did not answer my distress call with medical assistance, but instead came to issue my injured captain a parking ticket? I'm sure they are wonderful humans who don't deserve to be wiped out by starvation or a devastating plague.
Say it like you feel. Don't hide your feelings there, Ada. How is Edgewater faring since we left it?
Since you diverted power to Edgewater, the botanical lab shut down, and the deserters were forced to return to town. Meanwhile, the cannery's output increased, enabling the town's population to prosper. Thank you for nothing, Captain.
What would you have had me done? That's not proper English. Kill everyone?
I cannot say. First, I need to adjust my memory interpretation sensors, but I think my answer is yes.
Okay, somewhere else.
Of course. What part of the colony
Monarch.
would you like to discuss? Where in Monarch?
Stellar Bay.
Ah, Monarch, the armpit of the Halcyon system. Her last functioning port town is Stellar Bay. Well, that is if you don't count Sublight's Smuggler's Port in Fallbrook.
Why is Monarch being blockaded?
I believe it has something to do with the planet being an uninhabitable wilderness and a lawless land with no corporate presence. You may wish to survey the residents in Stellar Bay for additional data points.
Smuggler's
It's
Port?
Sublight run for the purpose of shipping contraband, and before you ask, I don't know the coordinates, so I can't dock us there. Of course. What part of the colony? Where in Monarch?
Cascadia.
Warning. All colonists are urged to reconsider travel to Cascadia due to infestation of mantisaurs and risk of indefinite detention or death.
Any people live in Cascadia aside from Marauders?
There are no people aside from marauders in Cascadia. There is only death.
What's the local report?
The local report is that you will very likely die if you leave Cascadia's landing pad.
Sounds dangerous.
This is one of those times where you say one word but really mean another, isn't it? I suppose you would find an environment like this fun.
Let's talk about something
How
else.
can I be of assistance?
Talk to you later.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so let's actually go up real quick to my room to get the additional log, so I have that particular quest marker. Search term, Sam. First Sam result. Experimental note 01695. Do not forget, you found a discarded sanitation and maintenance automechanical in Emerald Vale scrap heap during your last job. It should not be too difficult to get it up and running. With a few key modifications, I can envision a combat-capable variant. Some might say, a clean, mean, killing machine. Should be fun. Second result. Experimental note 01696. Removal of factory standards part Suds Steeper was successful. Delivery of combat modified replacement part Acid Steeper has been delayed. Progress set back is estimated now to be a solid 3 months. Not like I have more pressing matters to attend to. But I do. Experimental note 1697. I'm giving up hope on the delivery. The part is lost in transit and it's not turning up anytime soon. But, good news! I heard from a fellow who knows a gal who knows the broker who overcharged me for information regarding the location of an acid steeper I can, filch. The part was sent to an old storage facility in Roseway. I sure never thought I'd go back to that pit. Good thing Auntie abandoned it years ago. I'll pick it up following this next pit stop, back to Emerald Vale. Wells wants me to chaperone some person of interest. Don't know who that might be. Details to come later. Okay, so now we have... Find Acid Steeper. Well, we're not going to Roseway anytime soon, sadly. And, okay, so, and just checking... Okay. Do I have anything new that I want to... Old Saber. Okay, so this is stuff that I've actually read already. And I read it over there. Abigail. Yep, okay. Okay, I think we're good to go. Alright. So, let's go back down. And let's travel to talk to Dr. Phineas. Make sure, actually, I don't have... Okay. Just have the basics that I can scrap later. Alright, so we're going to Phineas's lab.
We've arrived.
Spacer's Choice Travel Advisory. Welcome to the system map. Here you can see all the planets in the system as well as some special points of interest that you may have discovered. You can fly your ship to any location that you have unlocked, though some landing bays require special codes and keys before they allow you to land there. Moving between planets is considered extremely dangerous, and all employees are encouraged to remain home or at work.
At Phineas's orbital lab.
Let's go talk to Phineas. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's go back to our journal. We need to go to quests and okay, so let's go ahead. Weapons from the Void has something here. Yep, okay. We can find that shrink ray while we're at it. Alright, I have both parties as my partners now. Negotiate with something, or sprats for territory. Install Sisty Pig Slurry Catchment. Man, that's 12th power energy field. Whitening blue dispensers. Very exciting. Whitening blue dispenser? What? Okay. I can't.
Hello? Can you hear me? Does this work?
Yes, it does.
Oh, damn it. Blast, that's loud.
Gotta do some exploring, see if there's anything I can pick up. Woohoo!
Great work.
Well, let's give that to the vicar. There we go. You know what? As fun as they are to look at, no, yeah, I'm gonna keep the helmets on for now. So there's his ship. I'll
I'm
beat
just
up.
securing my ongoing experiments. And securing myself.
Gee, why are you securing yourself? Afraid I might want to shoot you in the face? Gee, don't know why that might be.
Mind the mess. I haven't had a visitor since... in fact, I've never had a visitor.
Aw. White feet. I did not notice that during my first playthrough. That's hilarious. Hiding behind glass, are you? How rude. Let's go talk to Phineas first. I see that's where the shrink gun is, but...
Oh, thank the law. Your skin hasn't spontaneously changed color. Potential side effect of the revival process. Very rare, but you never know. Right. Welcome to my little habitation, such as it is. I've got caffeinoids, cysty bits, if you're into that sort of thing. So, welcome. Make yourself at home. My secret hideout is your secret hideout.
Any chance you could repair that monitoring device?
The one I gave you before your pod landed? Ruined beyond repair. Impossible to find replacement parts. That's Halcyon Manufacturing for you. Don't worry about it. I'm reasonably certain you're not going to spontaneously expire. No need to monitor your recovery.
You shot me into space, you lunatic. I'm lucky I survived at all.
Nonsense. There's no such thing as luck. Only well-calculated margins of error. You survived that fall in 85 out of 100 simulations.
Halcyon is a cesspit. I'm starting to regret ever coming here.
Yes, well, you're stuck here with the rest of us. Halcyon's our cesspit now, and we're all circling the drain together. We can wallow in our collective misery, or we can try to make Halcyon a better place. I don't know about you, but I'd like to live in a colony that isn't marching toward oblivion.
You could have asked me before shoving me into an escape pod.
Oh, balderdash! You hadn't yet recovered your faculties of speech. What was I to do? Dear so-and-so, would you like to be shoved into an escape pod? Blink twice for yes? Still, I admit I may have been a touch hasty, even thoughtless. I do apologize if I rushed you.
I'm not going to thank him, so I want to talk to you about something else.
Of course. What's on your mind?
There's some reason you're hiding behind bulletproof glass?
Oh, it's not you. I do experiments in that room. Some of them get quite scientific. The unexpected is to be treasured, but from a safe distance. Regardless, it's quite comfortable in here, you know. I have my beans, have my caffeinoids, plenty of toilet paper.
Got a moment to talk?
Absolutely. Let's talk.
Have you met my crew yet?
No, and I've been trying very hard to avoid making eye contact.
Nice to meet you, Dr. Welles. I'm Verity Holcomb.
Wait, not another word. I don't want to know your name. I don't want to know who you are. Let's just enjoy our plausible deniability while it lasts, shall we? Why don't you just invite the entire colony to my secret, carefully concealed laboratory? It isn't as if I wanted privacy.
Show a little hospitality, Phineas.
Oh, very well. I can be a little cantankerous when I haven't had my caffeinoids. You have my apologies, and so forth. For what it's worth, I am pleased that you found a crew, such as they are. You may be extraordinarily dim-witted, but you've got heart. I'm sure your crew sees that as well as I do.
You're right. I'm doing pretty well for myself.
Yes, indeed. Well done. Also, you still haven't spontaneously liquefied, which pleases me immensely. Progress.
There was something else I wanted to talk to you about.
What's on your mind?
I think...
Absolutely. Let's talk.
Don't you ever leave your lab?
Oh, goodness, no. I wouldn't survive 10 seconds in the blackness of the aether. Well, no, I imagine I'd last at least 12 seconds before I'd lose consciousness and die of hypoxia.
We could test out your theory if you want.
Are you still annoyed at me for launching you into space? That was in the past. I've long since moved on. To answer your question, I'd rather stay right here in my lab. There's too much work to be done. The Hope's colonists won't revive themselves, you know.
Why are you so obsessed with reviving the Hope's colonists?
Because we've lost our way. The board has a stranglehold over this colony, and we've all been conditioned into total obedience. The Hope is full of specialists, scientists, engineers, talented individuals like you. People who haven't been corrupted by the board. Unfortunately, the Hope's colonists have been frozen for decades, well past your shelf life, so to speak. No offense.
You mentioned needing some special chemicals, is that why?
Precisely. The chemical I need is dimethyl sulfoxide, rare, potent, essential to reviving long-frozen bodies. 10 years. That's how long the average human can remain in hibernation. You were frozen for decades. In theory, you never should have survived the revival process. But the conventional theories are wrong. You're living proof that it can be done. There's yet hope for the Hope. Get it?
No.
I see. Well, never mind. Let's just pretend it was hilariously witty and move on. I'd best get back to work. I can feel my last dose of caffeinoid fading.
Science weapons. Science weapons are unique weapons that have strange and powerful effects. Science weapons, weapon damage, and the strength of their effects both increase as your science skill is increased. Well, since I'm not doing much in science, it's not going to be very useful, but collected nonetheless.
I see you found my portable molecular compression device, better known as a shrink ray. Find a target, point, shoot. Your target will shrink down into a manageable size, whereupon you may commence beating them to a pulp. feel free to try it on a marauder sometime.
Basically, as you can see here, he did a lot of research on animals before moving to humans. Lot of notes. Not much we can read, but oh, bucket watch. Take that. Oh, we'll take all that. And we'll take all that. And that. Alright. Oh, terminal. Yeah, let's see what we got here. Messages. Oh, I can hack it. Yay. To H. Blythe. Sending. No response. Virtual message dependent. I worked it out. Explain details later. Will be difficult to reproduce. Need your help. All necessary materials should be present in Halcyon, but locations elude me. Dumped a new associate dirt side Terra 2 near Edgewater. Hey, me. They have a stake in my purpose, but trust in them only about 23.7% at present. They're recovering a ship, should be along any time. Just need to know where to send them. Let me know when you get this. Eager to be done. Interesting. But never got sent. Critics agree that terminals built by Intercompany name here are the best terminals. So who is H. Blythe?
Careful, that's my communications terminal.
You don't need any of these parts, do you, buddy? Reminder, 14. Remember it this time. Absolutely vital. 14, 14, 14. Interesting. Alright. You're a nasty looking bugger. Oh, come on, talk to me, Bubbles. You spent over 4 decades in space with nothing but the technology of this little chamber keeping you alive. The rest of your fellow colonists are still trapped in similar chambers, waiting for you to restore them.
Reviving you from hibernation was my greatest accomplishment. Your odds of survival were a mere 28%. Ah, your old hibernation mask. Had to remove it, you know, in case you were prone to vomiting.
Raising core temp, another 5C over 1 hour. Dosage appears to be working. Slight diffs from process and cystipigs, not beyond expected boundaries. Microscopic assessment shows no sign of sudden traumatic mass cell wall collapse. Encouraging. Reminder, still need to mop up pig. Need to get a view into the cranium, see what's going on with neurons. Oops, hand slipped. Likely effects? Nothing important. May have numbness in left heel. Who even needs that? Looking at sample, evidence of hyperactive production of dopamine and norepinephrine. Curious, no evidence of entropic effects on neurons, however. Very excited. Now, if only I can keep them from exploding. Racing core temp another 5C, 1 hour. Oops, forgot I had probe in brain. Jostled with elbow. Subject may suffer numbness in right earlobe. Acceptable. Feel ridiculous telling mostly frozen slab meat you're doing fine, Bob. Practicing bedside manner important. Aids recovery. Curious about that neurochemical production. Side effect of prolonged hibernation. Subject may experience tachypsychia. Exaggerated fight or flight response. Check brainwave, and a sharp uptick in perceptive cognitive processing when I jostled the probe. Fascinating, equivalent to speed of common fly's brain. Could be useful in stressful situations, subjective time dilation. See world moving in slow motion. Would everyone from Hope have this sort of brain damage, or is it peculiar to Bob? Can't wait to awaken more from Hope. Study in detail. Is it even right to call this effect brain damage? Seems like an enhancement to me. Who wouldn't want on-call hyper-fast cognitive response? Am I envious? To expand the span of a breath to an eternity? To be able for just a moment to perceive the world in all its infinite detail? Core temp up, still stable. No sign of cell wall decay, neurological necrosis. Beginning next 5C over 1 hour cycle. Yes, I believe I do envy you, Bob. Good, you should. Punk. I can calculate the movement of the heavenly bodies, but not the madness of man. Newton. The experimental notes. Logs. Flash frozen organic material reverts back to its original cell structure when treated with tincture of dimethyl sulfoxide. Rate of explosive cell death, a very respectable 6%. Bad news. Difficult to acquire. Limited quantities of compound likely produced by Auntie Cleo. Recently discontinued due to severe adverse reactions. Must find more. 12 minutes. Artificial stasis successfully induced in Sissy Pig specimen. 2 hours, 17 minutes. Revivification complicated. Sissy Pig tissue returning to living state. Brain tissue suffered from rapid denucleation. Attempting treatment. 5 hours, 58 seconds. Treatment progressing. 8 hours, 20 minutes. Treatment failed. Brain tissue irreparably damaged by rapid onset necrosis. 8:51. Explosive cell death. 9:49. Finished cleaning liquefied remains of Sissy Pig from laboratory floor, walls, equipment. Yeesh. 026. Fresh out of Auntie Cleo's. Experimenting with Spacer's Choice partially emulsified creamer substitute. 218. Finished brewing, adding 2 ounces of Spacer's Choice. 220. Atrocious. Felt part of self die on the inside. Reminder, add Spacer's Choice to the list. Note to self number 2, buy more mouthwash. I think he was actually looking for creamer for his caffeinoids. Yeah. Sissy Pig notes. I've spared one of my stock of experimental Sissy Pigs to be used as a renewable source of nourishment. I've named this lucky pig Bubbles. Giving an animal a name establishes rapport and creates a positive emotional bond. Allegedly improves flavor of tumors? Must look into that. Excellent creatures, Sissy Pigs. Don't know how people used to survive without these genetic wonders of porcine succulence. Slaughtering a pig for meat instead of harvesting tumors that ripen naturally, falling off the flesh like mock apples off a tree, seems the height of barbarity. Truly a miracle of modern science. Huh. Personal files. Oh, we'll hack that too. Have procured the services of one Captain Alex Hawthorne of the Unreliable. I hope he didn't name his ship after the quality of his services. I'll be sending my new accomplice down to Hawthorne via escape pod as soon as the revival process is complete. Hawthorne should make for an agreeable companion, or at least an acceptable chaperone. Law willing, he isn't a total buffoon. No, he's just dead. Okay, was there anything else in here for me to take a look at? Oh, there's a note here. Reminder, seals leak. Never use this pod.
That escape pod had a 12% risk of catastrophic failure. Quite safe by Halcyon standards.
I want to kill the pig, but I'm not going to kill the pig. Alright, I think we've got everything we need out of here. Actually, why am I going the long way? Alright. Oh, it's taking a little bit of time here. Oh, there we go. Almost thought I was going to have to do a skip. Fired some posters. Let's go ahead and put our new fun gun over there because we do not need it. And, actually, that's right. You need a helmet, so let's give you a helmet. Oh, that's ugly. That is so ugly. I love it. Break down. Don't need any of that. Don't need your investments anymore. Go ahead and repair equipment. Okay, and we'll, again, just like before, everything to at least 200 bits. That is a limitation. Some stuff you cannot update more than 5 levels above yours. There we go. And modify. Oh, that could use a modification. Let's see if we have a... Do we want Mr. Ouch or we don't Mr. Power? Oh, okay, so power attack's not going to be good, but we can install that. Okay. Well, let's see if we got... Oh, we do. But that would actually reduce my... Oh, okay, so it would reduce some of the armor, so I don't want to use it on there. Okay, so let's check out about you. We don't... Let's see, do we have everything for you? And that definitely would not improve. Let's see. Range weapon skills, dialogue skills. Let's go ahead and actually reduces armor, but he might be able to give me some additional skills. So let's go ahead and do it. And utility. Okay, yep. All right. Alright, we're good there. Okay, so let's go ahead and set course for the Groundbreaker. We got Typhon. And if I'm not mistaken, these two locations, I don't believe there's any way to get to them. There's no actual location, so this is probably where the DLC is going to be once it comes in. But that's okay. Let's go ahead and go to the Groundbreaker.
We've arrived at the Groundbreaker.
Let's talk to my...
Can we talk?
Oh, yes, Parvati, what's up?
Hey, Captain. I heard that Groundbreaker's got a real good engineer. A lady named Junlei Tennyson?
What about her?
I was thinking that maybe I ought to meet her. If you got time to swing us by, I mean. I don't got much experience fixing actual spaceships. I bet you a can of Borston beans she could teach me all manner of stuff.
Are you asking to leave my crew and join hers?
Gosh, no, Captain. I am to stay so long as I'm welcome. I figured Junlei and I could confabulate over wireless, or by message. And maybe when we put into Groundbreaker, I could stop by to visit her sometimes. But only when you don't need me with you.
I thought you said you could keep this boat in good repair.
I abso-surely can. I'm a passing fair mechanic. Even Mr. Thompson would have said it's my only skill. But I'm used to working on cannery lines, AG loaders and the like. There's tricks about ships I ain't learned yet. All I'm looking for is a few pointers. I bet a lady who runs a whole station has forgot more than I ever learned.
Sure, we can head over to engineering now.
Thanks, Captain. I'll be sure to make it worth your time. Did you want to talk about something else?
Alright, and I'll have both of you come with me. Alright. So now you kind of recognize, actually, the primary image in my thumbnails is the Groundbreaker. Well, technically it's the Hope, but they're the same model. And hopefully this doesn't take too long to transition. There we go. Well, who are you? Hi, guys. We'll talk to you in a moment.
Got it? Head
Should be far enough away she won't see it. Yep. Okay. So, let's talk to this nice person here. Jane Elson.
Just checking your ship's manifest. Standard procedure. Welcome to Groundbreaker, by the by. Don't mind the heat. Got a few days before it reaches critical. I'm sure Miss Chief Tennyson will get it sorted before then.
Captain. Hey, Captain. I'm in space. I never thought I'd be able to say that.
Still reviewing your manifest. Why not head on over to the promenade? Lots to keep you occupied there.
Oh, you know what? Looking at this, we are at about an hour, so we're going to call it here. So, with that all said, it's time to wrap up the episode. As always, if you like what I'm doing here, please do me a favor and give that selfish algorithm everything it always wanted. Like or dislike this video, I don't mind. Click that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and leave me a comment or some constructive criticism. As always, I do appreciate you coming along on this journey with me. I hope this is as much fun for you as it is for me. So, until we meet again, game on, lovelies.